This video is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Visit AMSOIL.com for more information.
Today we're visiting Pruitt's Auto Service in Louisville, Kentucky. They've been in business since 1960 and are the only full-service gas station and repair shop in the Louisville area. The cars may have changed a lot since 1960, but the great service they provide hasn't.
Morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm very good.
Good, what can I get you this morning?
Fill her up.
What, regular, Supreme, plus?
Regular.
All right, check under the hood for you while you're here.
Love it.
Okay,
Great.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, if you want to roll that window up, I'll clean it for you.
I'd love it. Phew. It's the works.
It's the works. This is truly a gem. It really is.
No kidding. Which is something that just doesn't happen like this.
You know, nothing would be better to pull up in a nice plastic car. You know?
Yes, sir. 35 is the prescribed amount. They're all about 36. Of course, they're warm. They've been driving a little bit, so.
They're really actually expecting a lot of things to it.
Good to go.
For sure. This is absolutely wonderful.
Oil, coolant, washer fluid, all good. Brake
Perfect.
fluid's good.
So we're with the show Auto Pros on the road. We'd love to sit down and talk to you about what you've got here.
Okay,
You got a few minutes?
I do.
That'd be great.
We'll park this beast and we'll come in and talk to you.
Okay, sounds
good.
Thank you.
Good
Nice
morning.
to meet you. I'm Josh.
Rocky Pruitt.
Joe, how are you?
Hey,
good
Joe,
to
Rocky.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for doing all that. That was
that's
amazing.
That
I haven't.
really
I
is.
can't. I don't think I've ever had that done.
No.
Unless I do it myself.
It's so funny too. This has. I mean, obviously everything's in really good shape, but it feels old.
It really does. It feels like an older shop. It's obviously well maintained, but you just really feel like I should have drove up in a '57 Chevy and got out with my pack of cigarettes in my sleeve there.
Right.
That would have been great.
Little anchor tattoo on your.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, something, anything. But man, it was really, really neat. And I still see you have 4 of them. So that's I mean, you're doing 4 pumps on this for full serve.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
great.
4 pumps, 2 islands for full serve, and self-serve is a 1 island operation out there.
Fantastic. And from what I understand, you're the only one in Louisville that's still doing it.
I don't know where the next one's at.
I've never, as far as I know and what I've looked into, you're the only one. He's the only one.
Few and far between. I mean, and it's a lost art. I mean, and it's just so cool. It's a great feeling to be like, hey, my car's checked out.
Absolutely. But obviously, when they're under the hood, if something comes awry,
I believe
you've got the garage to help out the
customer. There's a garage
here,
very
too.
close by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind showing us around?
Not at all.
All right, that'd be great.
What would you like to see?
All of it.
All of it. Well, step back in time here, just prior to the Second World War is my understanding. Wow. We've got a picture on the wall that was taken about 46 after the war, but you can tell that it's its original structure. There's been some cladding added around the outside of it. So these 2 bays, we call dry bays. We don't have lifts back here, but you know, we use it for equipment, tires that we need for customers. Obviously, we've got a brake lathe and toolboxes.
Yeah, let's take a look up front. Choosing these shops isn't the easiest. You go with a little bit of the ratings and taking a look at their website. Rocky didn't have anything on his website necessarily saying about the full service gas station. I found out those details in the customer reviews where a lot of people were enjoying that they had that full service experience where they're checking under the hood and, you know, topping off washer fluid, checking air while they're filling up the gas tank. You just don't see that anymore. In a time today where the gas station, you're lucky if they even have a squeegee with some solvent in the tank. They're doing that for you. You know, a long time ago, you got your gas at the same place that you also got your repairs, and that still happens at Rocky's, which made it an experience that I wanted to go talk to him about and see why he's one of the only people that are still doing this. So thanks for sitting down, and I definitely have a couple questions. I mean, you said this was been in the family since pretty much 1960-ish,
Right.
From your dad. Was he doing the full service stuff too back then?
Absolutely, yeah. There wasn't, to my knowledge, any self-service available.
Okay.
Everybody had the same mode of operation, regardless of brand. You know, at the time it was KSL, Kentucky Standard Oil, which was one of the baby Standard Oils that got bought by Standard Oil California. They were all put under the Chevron flag, but Texaco, Gulf, they were all doing the same thing. You know, you've probably seen the scene in Back to the Future where the guy pulls into a Texaco station, 6 guys go running out. That's what I grew up. That's what I knew.
But that's what it felt like when I came out there. It was you and another attendant, and going under the hood, checking tires, checking fluid levels, making sure the gas is fine, giving the vehicle a little bit of a once-over. That kind of standard of service really is. You might as well be Back to the Future because it's gone in most places. It is,
and that's unfortunate because we see a lot of cars that just are not maintained well, and that's because of the advent of self-service gasoline. People put gas in it. If it starts, it goes. That's fine. That's all they want. Unfortunately, if that's all you do, long term, it's going to cost you.
You're 100% correct. And so, why are you still doing it?
Well, at some point, you have to decide what business you want to be in. Doing the convenience store thing, which is where everything kind of evolved into, especially high volume locations like this where 3 roads converge, it just doesn't interest me. You know, selling coffee and cookies and cakes and beer and lottery, I don't have any interest in that. So I told my wife when I got back into the business and we were able to obtain it from my brother, if we're going to do this, I just want to be the last great service station that people remember. You know, and
I think that's an excellent philosophy, and I know this sounds kind of probably odd and weird, but the pandemic probably got you more business being self-serve where people weren't getting out of their car. Did it feel that way to you?
We got more full serve from the people that just did not want to get out of their vehicle or, you know, interact with anybody else. I mean, we would have people pull in here and they would stick a note out the window early on.
Wow.
What they wanted, because they didn't want to have any interaction with us. And, you know, that was early on. Everybody was scared to death, and, you know, we thought the sky was falling, but you know, I'll tell you, April 20 and March 20, those 2 months, we lost money. But I was able to keep my entire crew intact. Nobody missed an hour. And then the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend, 1st of May, it came back strong. It just, I don't know why or what the recipe for that was, but it was that Tuesday, and suddenly there were cars back on the streets and people out, and here we went. And thank goodness I had my crew intact, or we'd have really been scratching. We touch about anywhere from 350 to 450, sometimes 500 cars a month.
Wow.
That's not gasoline.
Wow.
That's all bay work. Yeah.
That says a lot about the crew you have then, because obviously you're getting customers that come in for regular service and maintenance and repairs. That says quite a bit actually about such a smaller shop to pull those kind of numbers. That's impressive.
It's, you know, we have a community. This business, like most businesses, is all about relationships. And if you don't create those relationships, people then, you know, what are they going to relate to? Is it going to be the lowest price, the coupon, the grand opening sale, whatever? But I've got customers that have been with me since I've been in the business, and I'm now servicing their great-grandchildren's automobiles.
You know, and again, you don't get that kind of sense of community a lot anymore, where, you know, the grandparents or the grandchildren are coming and you're knowing them by name, and you've got that generation coming back to see you. That's more than just service at that point. Then they've almost become extended family and friends.
They do, absolutely.
And that makes it even better to get them coming back to see you. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed some really good relationships over the years, and you know, some people ask me, why are you still doing it? I mean, and that's why. We provide income for 10 families. We provide a service to the community. We have an older demographic in our area here. They need somebody that can listen to a noise, check the oil level, check the fluid levels. Hey, I think I got a low tire light on. They need somebody they can go to.
So tell me, you know, I looked across the street and there's that Valvoline. Did that hurt any business or?
No. He might as well be selling tacos.
That's fantastic.
They're not in the same business we're in.
Okay, that's great then.
They're just really not. So,
and I seen your now hiring sign. So you're still looking for another?
always looking.
Really?
Yep. Right now, looking only for entry level.
Okay.
I've got some long-term employees, a 10-year, a 6-7 year, a 5-6 year guy, and all three of those that I just named started out on the driveway, pumping gas, checking tires, and now they're my manager and 2 technicians. Develop the underlings as best you can, you know, bring them up, and hopefully that breeds some sense of loyalty. They don't run down the street for an extra $1.
Well, that's great to hear. So the young gentleman that came out and assisted you, is he one of the entry levels? Is he doing both? Is he going out and helping with and then kind of coming in here, or is he kind of mostly an attendant?
No, that young man, Ethan, is started out. He's just graduated high school, so I think he's like 18 years old now. Started out pumping gas, just what you saw him doing this morning.
Yeah.
But he is now doing, oil changes and tire repairs and mounting and balancing tires and replacing bulbs and things of that nature also. So, we just keep exposing them to more and more and more. And the longer you stay, the more you get exposed to. And, there's always somebody here that can help.
It seems like, is it a sense of community here for the techs? Are they, taking him under his wing, so to speak, and giving him some of that training that he needs?
I don't have anybody on staff that is not willing to help the guy next to him. We don't have that issue. I try to hire good people, and good goes a lot farther than just their skill. So, if a guy's, if he's a sore head, he's probably not going to last very long. So.
When I used to teach automotive, and I always used to tell my students, I have a AAA approach: attitude, attendance, and aptitude. But if you don't have good attitude and you don't have a good attendance, I can't help your aptitude.
That's right.
That's the only one I can help. The other two I can't help. And you're right, a good attitude, you're much more willing to work with that individual because they're trying and they've got a great attitude. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones you can obviously spot, and those are the ones you want to keep long term because they're willing to go the extra mile.
I like that. I might use that.
Talking to Rocky is like talking to somebody like a father figure, somebody who's wise beyond his years, very smart, very intelligent, very old school kind of beliefs and standards, which I really appreciated. I've told a lot of people, in the way that I thought after talking to Rocky was he should be whittling something out of wood with a pocket knife on a bench somewhere, and people just go talk to him and listen. Even the conversations I had with Rocky that weren't on camera were just great stories, and always a good sense of advice coming from him. And just always wanting to share that knowledge that he has. It was just a really great experience talking to Rocky.
The benefit, and I tell customers this a lot, between the Valvoline that you mentioned over here. If you go into a Valvoline, most of the time, and not always, because anytime I ever say always or never, I'm not accurate, but most of the time, they're primarily younger folks. It's kind of an entry-level job. It's kind of an entry-level business. But they serve a purpose. You know, don't get out of your car, you drive in, 15 minutes later you're on the road. So they've got people who obviously support them. But for a moment, let's imagine that you've got a drain plug that doesn't come out clean. And they've never seen that before. How do we remedy this? Do you just cram it back in? What do you try to do with that? Well, in this bay, the guy on either side of the man in the oil change bay has got 10 years experience, 20 years experience. So he's got somebody right there. He can say, hey, look at this. What should I do about this?
And that's great.
And here's what you do.
Yeah.
So they help each other that way, and that's how the younger guys get experience and continue to learn. Not to embark on a philosophical discussion, but what a lot of people are missing is solitude. They don't have the time to think without the influx of screens and media and all the junk that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So when I go to the farm, I might go sit in a tree stand. If it's season, that's what I'm doing. If it's not season, I'm on a tractor with earplugs on, and all I can hear is the drone of that diesel engine, and it gives me time to think. And that's how it's my therapy. If I have any gift at all, it's the gift of observation. And I have watched people, because I'm in the people business, I've watched people my entire life. And if you don't have something like that to go to collect, to think, to process, you end up on a bar stool somewhere, and it goes downhill from there. So you've got to have a place to go and heal, so to speak. So
I like that. I really do.
when a car pulls up on this driveway, I can connect the dots to probably 10 different families that do business with us. So because that customer pulls up and is not what you would consider one of your primary customers, don't think for a minute that they're not talking to 10, 12, 15 different families that are your primary customer. So you got to leave that grading process out of your mind, because every customer is your best customer at that point in time. And that's the way I want my customers to be treated as a consumer.
Absolutely.
To do it any other way, there's a lot of guys that make a lot more money than I ever do. They'll have multiple locations, and they will be the CEO, and they'll operate their business from an Excel spreadsheet, and they might visit one of their stores on occasion. But when you operate that way, your customer service and your relationships drop to about 5 or 6 down the row. It's not the priority anymore.
Yeah.
It's, what am I buying this unit for? What am I selling this unit for? What can I negotiate here? What are my labor costs? And then we start talking about customer service or comebacks, complaints. I've never been, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I've never been a real numbers guy. I've always felt like if I take care of my customers and I do the very best I can for them for a fair price, fair being for them and for me, okay, then the money will take care of itself. And it always has. So
talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that you have faced, you're facing now, maybe how they've changed over the years too, from your dad owning it to you owning it, and how have you overcome any of those challenges that you face, whether it's way back in the early time or now? How do you overcome those challenges, and what helps you get it over those?
Joe, I don't think I can use the word overcome because the challenges never stop. So it's something, you hear people talk about getting burnt out. I've been burnt out 1,000 times. But the answer to that is you wake up the next morning, you put your boots on, and you go. And you put one foot in front of the other, and you just keep doing the best you can do. And if you do that, before you know it, you're 60 years old, and somebody asks if they can come talk about your business. The two biggest challenges on a recurring basis are the advent of new technology, always trying to keep up with that. One of the bigger challenges that our industry faces is a lack of technicians, skilled technicians. And there was a time back in the 60s, my father had a coffee pot in this office, and somebody would come by and apply for a job. And he would tell them, I've got a full crew today. If you want to show up, I start coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning. We open at 7. If you want to show up, have a cup of coffee. If somebody's late at 7 o'clock, you can have their job.
I know the average age of today's technician has drastically increased, and the thing that worries me the most about what you're saying is a lot of the knowledge that some of these older techs have that they can give back to some of the younger techs is going to be lost because there's not enough younger techs coming into this. Unfortunately, a lot of people still think of a technician as not a glamorous job, but you know what? It's essential. And guess what? All the other jobs were shut down. Mm-hmm. We're still open. We're still fixing. We're still repairing.
That's
you
right.
need those technicians more than you thought you ever did.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that will trigger some of these younger minds to say, well, there is a lot of technology behind this. You do have to be intelligent. And this is something that I want to get into. And hopefully you got those older gentlemen. I'll never forget my mentors when I was a young tech.
Sure.
Never forget those guys. Those are the guys that are giving you your toolbox key when you go on a Saturday because they're off and say, you put everything back. But I know you ain't got everything.
Right.
But here you go. You take care of that. You never forget those guys.
No, you don't.
And you don't forget the knowledge that they instilled upon you either. The stupid little tricks, the things that you never thought of, that the shortcut or whatever.
Right.
That's what I'm afraid that is going to get lost if we don't start getting some of these younger generations to respect the technician role and want to get back into this.
One of the trade magazines I was reading a bit ago said that we were about, I think it was 250,000 techs short of what we need in the country to keep everything repaired. So if you take that little micro example and you fold that out to nationwide, if the whole industry is a week behind, I mean, there's plenty of opportunity for somebody who is interested in being a technician. And if you're good and you're smart and you have the 3 A's that you spoke of earlier, you show up primarily with the right attitude.
Yes.
I saw a bumper sticker once that said, the world is ran by those who show up. And nothing's more true than that. I don't care how talented you are, how much you know, what your IQ is. If you don't show up, you're worth absolutely nothing to me.
Absolutely.
As a business owner who's willing to pay. The day of the shade tree mechanic is gone.
Absolutely.
It's gone. You just can't, if you're going to try to work on cars in your backyard, well, have $100,000 to invest in tools, equipment, scanners, meters, all the things that you need. And if you've got $100,000 to invest in your garage in your backyard, well, good on you. Have at it. But most of those guys are not doing that.
No, you're right. I always tell the students too, doctors have it easy. They only have 2 models.
Right.
We have a lot more and they keep changing.
Absolutely.
So the technician has to stay up in training, and we're always buying the new tools. We're always spending the more money for this, that, and the other. The body doesn't change as much as I think the car does, for the doctor.
There's a poem on the wall up here that was written in 1978 about that very thing. We hear it all the time now. The technology in these cars is greater than Apollo that went to the moon.
Absolutely.
Okay. The industry, and I think maybe this shortage is kind of working our way there, but shortage of techs. But the industry needs to reward the technicians who apply themselves and show up with the attitude and fix cars and make them run well. They need to be paid handsomely for that.
Couldn't agree with you more.
They do.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
I am. So, I really want to, me and Josh want to talk to a couple of your techs if you wouldn't mind.
Not at all. Not at all.
Rocky, this has been great. I really have
thank you.
appreciated everything
Yes, sir.
right now. Just sitting down and talking to you.
Glad to do it.
The level of care that this place is given to this community is just absolutely amazing.
Well, I appreciate you all
And I think
taking
you're doing a great job.
interest in it. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Today's technicians look to the aftermarket for quality parts so they can turn their bays and get their customers back on the road. BCA Bearings by NTN provides OE quality wheel hubs, bearings, and seals to ensure that when customers come back, they come back for the great service.
Joey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
So, I understand you've got a bit of a unique story here. It sounded like your dad was a rep of some sort, and that's how. Tell me how you started here.
I actually encountered Rocky through my father-in-law. He was a Cintas representative delivering uniforms, and I've always dabbled around in automotive, and Rocky was hiring at the time. My father-in-law came back to the house and said, Joey, I know of a really nice, unique shop, you know, old-fashioned service, which you're used to. You ought to go check it out. So I came up. It was Cinco de Mayo, 2010, and I've been here ever since. So I've been over here 11 years. This was pretty much my first job as turning wrenches.
Yeah.
So, you know, but, you know, it came hand in hand. You know, I got in and, you know, went right to work because, you know, I pretty much knew what I was doing. You know, of course, this is a learning process, and there's always a learning curve when dealing with automotive. So it's always something new you encounter every day. It's constant learning.
Every day you're learning something out.
Yes, sir.
10 years in the same shop. There's so many techs out there that are bouncing around from one to the next and the next and the next and the next. What keeps you here?
The people. I love being around my coworkers. I love being around the customers. We got, you know, I know the majority of the customers first name basis. They know me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, pretty much that's it. You know, it's the, you know, just the people around here. That's why I'm still here.
So what's your favorite thing to work on? Is it diagnostics? Is it front end? Is it brakes? Is it what's your favorite problem to tackle?
I personally like, a lot of techs don't care for it, but I find it to be a challenge every time I get into it. Is something to do electronically.
Really?
Yeah, I like chasing electronic problems.
So you said you grew up, I mean, a couple of restored cars, a couple of, were they restored? Were they hot rods? What were they?
Mostly restored,
Okay.
back to original condition.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we really didn't soup them up or anything. We went back with, you know, pretty much OE stuff.
So when you were brought up around that, was that just, did it just come natural to you, or is it something that you've always had an interest in, or was it something where I've been around it?
Mm-hmm. I had interest in it because I seen my dad out, you know, working on them, and that pretty much drew me in because, you know, what son don't want to be around their father, and you know, I would go out there and watch him, and then, you know, one day he was like, you know what, let's get dirty. He gave me a wrench and told me what to do, and you know, I listened to him. He'd tell me what to do, and then it got to a point where I was telling him what to do.
So did it start with you holding the light for him?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I was about to say, that's
Yeah.
how it started for me,
Yeah.
is I started by holding
Yeah.
the light,
Yeah.
usually pointed in the completely wrong direction.
Yeah, you're looking around. Yeah.
It's so much easier to go to work when you actually enjoy the work and the people that you're working with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
totally makes sense.
Layton's, your best source for OE quality automotive and heavy duty accessory drive tensioning devices. We know tensioners because we invented them.
You know, Ethan was really great to meet. I got to talk to him a little bit in the shop before we went out and actually spoke to him on a one-on-one basis. Being a younger tech, I really wanted to see how he was doing in that environment. You know, earlier in our conversation, me and Rocky had talked about the shortage of techs and that it's harder for these younger kids to want to get back into it. So I wanted to talk to him and see how he was and what his thoughts on were the industry. The thing that blew me away was his attitude. He had such a great attitude, and it was yes, sir, and thank you, sir, and you know, the professionalism that he carried in him in the way he looked. His shirt was tucked in, you know, belt on, hands were clean, big smile on his face. obviously ready to greet any customer that came to the pump, but also ready to take care of that oil change for them as well. Really impressed with him, and that's why we wanted to talk to him on camera a little bit more. Just not enough of these young kids like him in this industry, and I really applaud him for getting into it. And I also applaud Rocky and the other guys in that shop that have really taken them under his wing and given him a chance and taught him a lot of new things. And it looks like they're going to continue teaching him, and he's got a great career ahead of him.
Ethan.
Yes, sir.
I'm Josh. Nice
Hi,
to meet
Josh.
you. So I understand that you just started working here recently?
I've been here about a year,
Okay.
almost 2 years.
So how did you get involved with this? How did you start?
Well, actually, I applied at the Valvoline first, and they didn't take me.
Okay.
I was a junior in high school,
Okay.
and they didn't accept me. So walking home one day, I seen that now hiring sign over there and walked in and grabbed an application. It took him a while, and I had to call a bunch of times, but he accepted the application after a little bit.
So persistence paid off.
Yeah, it did that time.
When you started here, what was it like? And so I guess go through some of your evolution in the past year, if you could.
So I started at part-time. I'd come in for 4 hours every other day.
Okay.
And I would pretty much just run the pumps for a little bit, and then we'd go inside at 5 o'clock and clean everything.
Yeah.
I'd do the floors of the office or whatever.
Sure.
And then after we got everything cleaned, I'd come back out here and do the pumps until 7:30 or 8.
Okay. So that was step one.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're on step 3, 4, or 5 now.
Yeah, just so after that, I kind of started getting into some oil changes and stuff.
Okay.
Tire plugs, some
Yep.
of the simpler things.
What is your next step here? What's the next thing that you're probably going to learn here?
I'd like to get into like brakes and bigger things like that.
Okay.
Flushes,
Yeah.
any of the coolant, transmission, diff fluid, anything like that. Probably be my next step.
So coming here, you haven't taken any courses or anything like that?
No, not any automotive courses, no.
So, Rocky, what's he done with you on stuff like that?
Really the biggest thing was him trusting in me to do things and
Yeah.
get them right and do them quickly so he can make a little money off of them.
Yeah.
But the trust thing was the biggest. Putting me on jobs, stepping me up.
Yeah.
He did a really good job of starting me out slow, and then kind of once he saw that I was getting pretty
Makes
good
sense.
at it, letting me go
sense.
on to bigger things.
Really appreciate it and good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thousands on expensive engine repairs with K-Seal Ultimate Permanent Head Gasket Repair. From the makers of K-Seal, the trusted name in coolant leak repair, K-Seal Ultimate is specifically designed to fix blown head gaskets, cracked heads, and damaged engine blocks, no matter the antifreeze, hot or cold, and no flushing needed. Shake the bottle for 30 seconds, pour into the cooling system, and run the engine. In minutes, the leak is fixed and you're back on the road. And K-Seal guarantees the fix for the entire life of the engine. Give your old engine new life with K-Seal Ultimate.
So Rocky, I wanted to personally thank you for taking the time to allow us to come in here, talk to your techs, take a look around, get to know you, the philosophy, everything that you're doing, and a little bit of your history and what you're doing for the community here. It's been a really great time here.
Glad to
Agreed.
do it, yeah.
It's just, seeing them too doing the windows. Cars in for service work, windows get done. If I brought my car in and then I can see out of the window better than it's all the difference in the world. Those are the little touches that are just amazing.
Yeah, it's just that little additional level of service that you just don't see as much anymore, and it goes far on perception and how customers view your work.
A lot of times that's the only thing the customer actually sees that they paid for.
That's a great point. I mean, that is it's a wonderful point. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
That's why we try to do it.
Yep.
great. That was
Continue
great.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
we
you guys
really
very
appreciate
much.
it.
I appreciate having you guys, and thanks
Thank
for
you
the
so
interest
much.
in the shop.
I really appreciate everything. It's been a wonderful time.
Absolutely. Good luck
Good
to
luck to you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That great shop. Great
What an
owner.
experience.
Oh, I loved it.